And God bless. I just wanted to share a thought I have about the power of the human gaze, of maybe our eyes, our minds, um, emitting energy somehow. So I can't remember what video, but somebody was talking about this, that the human eye delivers some type of energy. And uh, this may, in science, there's this thing that has been called the observer effect. And when a scientist is expecting molecules to jump or whatever, then the molecules jump. But if the scientist expects nothing to happen to the molecules, nothing happens to the molecules. So they realized that they had to remove the scientist from a certain amount of distance from the experiment in order for that observer effect to not occur. So it appears that the presence of a human body has a cause, has an effect on physics. And I would say, there's stuff about, like, when you pray at a distance, and it helps somebody. That's also, that's like a non-local reality kind of a thing. And there's been documentaries about that where, uh, you know, a molecule in one part of the world affects the behavior of another molecule in a different part of the world. So, um, so I've just been thinking about this, and uh, so it seems to me, like, how, like, little kids or pets, they want attention. They want you to look at them. And yes, I think there's the psychological component. And for me, I'm a visceral, kinesthetic kind of a person. And so I'm not, even though I use language, I'm considered to be articulate. I, I, I wouldn't say, like, I wouldn't say words actually dominate my experience. I would say my visceral experience dominates my consciousness. So somebody can tell me all sorts of good things or even all sorts of bad things, but I'm more of I feel it out more than I'm listening to the words. You know how there's that quote about, your behavior is so loud I can't hear what you're saying, or something like that. Like, it's like somebody's body language or somebody's energy is so contrary to the words that they're saying. So, anyways, I just wanted to suggest that we are emitting energy from our eyes, which so a lot of occult rituals, football games, or even local events, the news, movies, TV shows. I wonder if the human eye that's watching these occult things, give it if we literally are giving energy from our spirit or our soul or whatever to whatever we're looking at. Sort of like, how the baby or the dog or the animal wants attention. um, and and also, I do wonder if what we gaze upon gives us or removes our attention. So one of the things I've been looking at is, like, Tartaria, the mud flood information, and I've always been interested in forbidden archaeology, hidden history, stuff about Atlantis, pre, like, pre, like, I mean, I didn't believe in the flood, until, I mean, I kind of, actually, I always believed in the flood because there were parallel myths in every culture about the flood. There's this book, Parallel Myths, and it talked about how there was just, every culture has pretty much every kind of traditional thing that we even have in the West. Um, but I didn't like completely understand that the Bible was real and that Jesus was real. And anyway, so beautiful architecture, historic architecture, scenic areas. When you're in a major city, in a major American city, I would say, and places that are really modernized, they've torn down the beautiful old structures. They've destroyed neighborhoods and put in stroads. So you have like, these 5 lane throughways that make it impossible for a pedestrian to safely walk around. Definitely elderly, visually impaired people, people in wheelchairs. It's clear that these places could care less. They're just, die or buy a car. And if you can't drive, well, to hell with you. You should just die. I mean, that's definitely the mentality I experience as a pedestrian, having lived in South Dakota, Montana, Virginia, um, Iowa. These places have like, are considered like nice place. No, no. Like, and this was before the lockdowns. So like for instance, Montana, when I was living there, it was the eighth worst place in the country. Oh no, no, it was the worst. It was the worst drive. It had the worst driving by insurance companies 8 years in a row. Montana. Like there is something about the mentality of Montana drivers, and I've experienced this personally myself, being in their car, like different people's cars, nicest people, but they have no awareness, literally. I mean, it is by the grace of God that they're not killing as many more people than they already are killing or threatening. I mean, because it's basically attempted murder when you're threatening somebody with your car, and that's like the norm in our world. But anyways, I digress. So, grand architecture, beautiful neighborhoods, historic houses and historic neighborhoods, walkable areas, places with just charming relics, like just beautiful, like statues or um, details on a building or charming benches, lovely parks. I do believe, this is my theory, that those kind of things actually feed us through our eyes, or bird song, feeds us through our ears. And, I believe in sunlight feeding us, and probiotics like the forest bathing, the healthy microbiome of a park or of a forest, that also feeds us. And frequencies of the earth, the Schumann resonance, and being around water and the negative ions of the water. So, yes, there's a lot of different things, but I do believe through our eyes that we get energy from beauty. And so when cities are engineering homelessness, which I do think they're engineering homelessness, I think they're trying to drive locals away. They don't want the locals to be downtown, but they want tourists from out of town to come. And then sometimes the cities will, so they want the tourists to come for a festival, for whatever, for the time of year. And so then they'll get rid of the homeless people. But during the winter months or whatever, the off season, they could care less about the locals who want to go to a restaurant or go to the library or go do whatever, walk downtown, enjoy. Um, like cities, in my experience, do not care, um, and they're going to whine and say, "Oh, we don't have the funding." I don't know. They've got funding to teach LBGT or whatever stuff, but they don't have funding to protect the locals downtown in the off season. that, well, if that's their priority and if that's the community's priority, um, there you go. But I think that as a result, I think we need to be careful what we set our eyes upon. Like, so lately, I would say the past month and a half, I've been reading a couple different forums, and the people are really vicious, like unnecessarily using epithets, attacking. Not me necessarily, just like other people who are like kind of just innocently making an observation, or sharing something they're going through, and then somebody's like, go kill yourself. And then like, so I was on a bulletin board, electronic bulletin board, where somebody was just saying trouble they're going through. Somebody was like, you should personal message me, you're not personal messaging me, so you should kill yourself. And so I complained to the admin, and then I got banned from the forum. Like, I got permanently banned. So not only was somebody like, encouraging somebody to commit suicide, but the admins banned me for complaining. Um, so like, this is just like some other weird level of evil, or something. And I do think that, I mean, I don't, I would avoid putting one's head in the sand. Yet I do think it's important to be like, really kind of be extra careful about what we are seeing. Like, of course, I watch YouTube, and so this new YouTube Shorts thing, man, that is one reason for me not to even be on YouTube or watch YouTube anymore, is because it's so easy to scroll through. I guess it's like what I imagine TikTok is like, but in the YouTube Shorts. And I've noticed this the past like 10 years or whatever, but it's gotten worse. Maybe I've just been noticing it more the past few years. Is like, people are filming their pets falling, their children uh, d- uh, falling, or some crying or being traumatized. Like, people are enjoying filming their pets, like, what they're the stewards, they're the guardians of these children, these pets, their friends, their family, their coworkers, whoever, who just anybody on the street. People are more invested in capturing something on video than human decency, than basic decency as a parent or a pet owner. It's absolutely despicable and disgusting. What I mean, it's like Gladiator. It's like, it's I just cannot believe that people, and looking at the comments, everybody is just like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. Like, nobody's like, this cat fell 3 feet, this child could fall 5 feet. Nobody has any compassion. I mean, okay, I wouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people, like, the first like 10 comments are just kind of, oh, the sky is blue, or, like, nobody, not enough people, it seems to me, not enough people are shocked about what's going on in the video, and that the person is just filming somebody getting hurt, somebody getting traumatized. Maybe they didn't break a bone, but that cat doesn't trust you anymore, or something. And I do think it's important to avoid viewing stuff like that, because just like violence in movies, killing people in movies, that desensitizes people to murder. And so I think, especially since YouTube content it's made by regular people, we like, we don't have that, awareness that this is a movie, like, because a lot of it, I mean, because it is real life. It's just some random moment. But when there's so many random moments of people's negligence, that is abuse of their pets, or their family, or their friends, or just like people just not caring about something that happened to somebody else on the street. People are more invested in filming a horror than helping somebody. And you know what? Like, if you are so hard hearted that you're just wanting views, just go about your day. Don't, don't rape. This is like visual rape. Like, number one, nobody wants to see, nobody wants to realize that a reptile is there's so many reptiles out there, like reptiles walking onto legs, uh, because you're a, a not a human being. When you care more about your YouTube views than your family, your friends, or the other humans or animals that are entrusted to you. Like when you're just like, oh, I want to have a shocking video that might go viral. Like that's just the worst of humanity. So I think limiting exposure to that kind of viewing is important. Um, and like I keep on moving to cities, and because homelessness appears to be engineered in cities, and it's engineered when the only housing is for millionaires or for people on Section 8, and those whose parents and grandparents are paying, like for, and of course there are some people who are actually able to pay $2,000 in rent. Um, so praise the Lord for that. But most cities, because property managers and investors and landlords, everybody's either warehousing their uh, rentals, or they're doing Airbnb, so they get to rent one room for $100 a day to $300 a day. So there's just not a lot of housing that's available for somebody who wants to pay, 600 a month or something like that. Um, and landlords are just like, well, if I can get the government, because landlords are just expecting the government to pay that 1,500, their wish list amount. Um, Landlords are not interested in just a working person or a low income person paying what they can pay. Landlords are expecting a government welfare paycheck, and that's what's so upsetting to me, is that um, people who are in real estate who are doing this, like like that class of people despises renters, and and they despise people who are on welfare, but they're living off of the people who are on Section 8. It's just this weird thing. So, anyways, I think it's important to be careful of what you're feeding with your eye energy. So feed your eye energy on the people you love, and the animals you love, and the garden you love, and the parks, and the architecture, and the neighborhoods that you love. Like feed that, the Bible, the church, God, your heart, whatever, whatever it is that you see, the good food, the water, the clean streams. So feed your eye energy on that, and also make sure what you're putting in front of yourself is feeding your spirit. So, I would avoid TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and I got to do this myself. I got to be careful because, like, sometimes YouTube just kind of kicks me into YouTube Shorts, so I just need to make sure just to go to my subscriptions. But uh, so make sure that you're feeding yourself with beautiful architecture. And I just learned today, and I've heard this before, that when you look up and when you look far away, that gives you a better mood. So make sure to go to a location where you can see a distance. See, like, I don't know, a couple hundred feet ahead of you. So you might have to go to where there's a dog park or a larger park if you're in the city. And also, I've heard to count chimneys. This is something new I learned today. So when you count chimneys, again, it makes you look up and you are looking a distance away and you're getting more sunlight to your eyes. And sunlight, our body, our blood filters the entire bloodstream behind our eyes every 2 minutes. So, I would do this for 2 minutes to just get some UV light if you can be in sunlight, if you can handle that. So, thank you for watching and God bless.